804-778-8888, 804-778-8888. Give us a call. Catch us up on what you're doing. Got Andrew Nags?
We sure do.
Mr. Nags.
Chris, how are you?
I'm well, sir. Andrew Nags joining us. Where are you joining us from? In the 7th District, I hope. You're campaigning.
Yes, I am. I'm calling you from Glen Ellen.
That's probably the heart of the 7th District. Wouldn't you say that's like the meat of the district? I mean, it's like where most of the population is the central part of the district. I mean, I'm not trying to, knock any other, Louisa
Sure.
or Culpeper. I'm just like, geographically, numerically.
Yeah, geographically, there's no doubt that this is probably pretty close to the geographic center. Sure.
Right, and you have a lot of people there as well. So, Andrew, next, catch us up on your campaign. How many people are still in the race, other than you?
To my knowledge, now I have not checked recently, but to my knowledge, there are still at least 7 in the race.
7 total,
including me. Yeah, that's right.
And this is going to be
a
convention on April 25th at the Arthur Ashe Center on Arthur Ashe Boulevard, recently named Arthur Ashe Boulevard, in Richmond, and it's an all-day convention, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. These conventions can run pretty long, but
I'm hoping not, because I'm covering it on the radio. I'll be there live all day, so I'm looking for like a good 35, 40 minutes is all I need.
Well, bring a lunch, and yeah.
Not going to be that short, is it? No. So let's talk about what's going on in the Republican Party these days. A lot of fascinating elements, and I was just up in Washington, D.C. talking to a large trade association, the National Association of Manufacturers, and they always ask me, they kind of go, what the hell's going on in Virginia right now? Because they're all paying attention to the crazy, because it's all you can see in the states, because other states' legislatures don't meet, and we're not going to go down the road of the General Assembly. But what's going on thematically in the Republican Party, let's just say vis-a-vis libertarian involvement in the Republican Party?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'll tell you that right now the Republican Party is well led on a national basis, and that has everything to do with the president and the success of his leadership and how dedicated he's been to the American people. And we've all heard it, and it's absolutely true. Promises made, promises kept. Okay. There is, though, an element within the party, and there always has been. And look, from my perspective, we must defeat the left. Okay, so there's no question whatsoever that the opposition is outside of the party. But from a philosophic standpoint, I think that those of us who care about and understand what movement conservatism is, we need to be aware of the fact that there is this push towards libertarianism. Now, one of the things that I've always spoken to people about is that you always hear about this politician or that politician having a streak or an aspect of libertarianism in the way that they do business. Well, the thing that I share with people is that what people think of as streaks of libertarianism are probably fundamentally conservative. Things like small government, free market economy, understanding and respect for individual liberties, and it goes on and on. But respect for the Constitution, focused on constitutional government. The things that are outside of conservative-based values within libertarianism, those are things that are probably antithetical to the way that most conservatives, see the world.
So you see a split between the libertarians philosophically and conservative Republicans. How is that manifesting itself in this particular race? Are libertarians coalescing behind certain candidates, or just more actively involved altogether? What are we seeing?
Yeah, I think you're seeing the same things going on in this race that you see across the country. And I think that conservatives need to be confident and courageous in stating that they're conservative. There's no need to dilute or to season their positions by saying, well, libertarian this or that, because most of it is conservative principles, unless, of course, you are for open borders, abortion on demand, legalization of illicit drugs, all illicit drugs.
So that's where you see the downside of libertarians within the Republican Party is bringing that issue set into Republicans. And I think libertarians have had a problem. I have to get Bo Brown on the show. He's a friend. He's the chair of the Libertarian Party here in Virginia, and talk about this a little bit, because I do see there's just not a lot of there in the Libertarian Party. I think they're growing. Yeah. They always have that problem, because just back up in New Hampshire, Vermin Supreme, the performance artist who wears the rubber boot on his head and carries around a toothbrush.
Who?
Vermin Supreme.
Okay.
Won the nomination for the Libertarian Party in New Hampshire.
I should say it all right there, huh?
Well, see, that's the problem, because you kind of go, okay, well, I guess I would say to Andrew Naggs, who joins us from Glen Ellen in the heart of the 7th District, running for the Republican nomination to oppose.
In the 7th District, right.
7th District, I hope I said that, against Abigail Spanberger in the fall. What element are you concerned with, or rather, let's say, what element do you align with that you want to reach out to libertarians but say that part's too far?
Yeah. Well, first of all, it's the same message that I have for everyone in the 7th District, that I am absolutely committed to finishing the job that you send me to D.C. to do, first of all, and that absolutely requires helping the president finish the job that he started in this term. Now, when you get into the ideological aspects of what I represent, I am representing and presenting a full-throated, undiluted, conservative message. So I am a small government, the rule of law, and respect for individual liberties, of course, and that's just on a conceptual, philosophical basis.
Because here's the problem. Here's the problem. Republicans can boil all this down and come up with whatever they believe, and it's maybe an ideological fight, which I don't understand in the Republican Party right now. I mean, you've got other problems from a former Republican who served in the legislature. Kind of get, there's nothing getting done in Washington D.C. anyway. I mean, you had an editorial in the Washington Post in the Outlook section over the weekend, and the writer, the front page article said basically, why are all these former senators or current senators fighting over all these ridiculously unpassable ideas? I mean, not one of these ideas is ever going to become law. And so we're getting trapped in this, what if scenario, but no one's willing to come off the what if and go, all right, let's get something done here.
Well, look, you're absolutely right. Look, the bottom line is, as I said at the beginning, we have to defeat the left. And right now, that left is represented by Abigail Spanberger and her leftist progressive colleagues in the Democrat Party led by Nancy Pelosi. So there is no doubt. When I talk about the distinction between libertarians and conservatives, what I'm talking about, that is definitely inside the family on the right, but we definitely need to police our own and to be present a consolidated front and be courageous about where we stand and our policies. But the bottom line is defeating the left.
Right. So I would recommend, there's 2 books I'm reading right now. One is Roger Scruton, who just recently passed, who's been considered the greatest philosopher since Edmund Burke on the conservative side. He just passed in England. Knew him, spent a couple of days with him. Real super nice guy. His book is called How to Be a Conservative, written in 2014 about what was coming after the Great Recession and what he saw. And then the other one I just got in. Thank you, Amazon, for delivering yet another package to the house and cluttering up my garage with more cardboard. Rand Paul's new book, The Case Against Socialism. And I'm interested to see the tension there in the 2 lines of conservative thinking. But let's jump off into another issue. How vibrant is the Second Amendment issue within the base of the Republican Party right now? Andrew Naggs running for Congress.
It's never been more vibrant. It's an important issue. It's never not been important. But the nice thing about it is that it is front and center. And we just had a big win today with the Senate Senate failing to and frankly killing the bill that would ban the sale of supposed quote unquote assault style weapons. So that is that's a good thing for us here in the Commonwealth. But the Second Amendment issue is about individual liberties, and the fact is that there's a more understanding now that the Second Amendment speaks to tyranny. It is about tyranny. It's not about hunting. It's not about collecting. And our founding fathers, the authors of the Bill of Rights, they understood that tyranny could exist at the governmental level as we understand it, but it also necks all the way down to the individual level, one-on-one criminal level as well. And the Second Amendment protects the whole panoply of an individual, of a natural person's ability to defend him or herself.
If you were to win, this is Andrew Naggs joining us on Virginia Free Radio 100.5 in Richmond. If you could boil it down to how are you going to knock on a door in a swing voters neighborhood and say, hey, yeah, I'm for the Second Amendment. And they're going to go, it's a really important issue to me. I just don't understand why Republicans feel so strongly about this, and I disagree with you, and I'm going to vote on this issue against you. What do you say to that person who confronts you with, not hostility, but just mere fact, I'm just that committed to doing something on guns?
Well, doing something on guns is laudable. I've got that, but the first place I would start with someone who felt that way is to explain that we have laws on the books that are not being enforced. That rather than skipping down the trail that Democrats have laid out for us in believing and describing this world of chaos where there is no governing structure around the ownership of firearms, which, by the way, I think is even so far beyond what the founders believed in, that so as to be edging on illegitimate. But we are where we are. There are laws on the books. We need to start by enforcing those laws. Beyond that, I personally will not ever support any further infringement of our Second Amendment rights. And if that is a single-issue voter, then I'll do my best to explain why that is and what the philosophical and moral basis for that is, which is built on an individual's right to defend themselves and their families. And that's how I would attack that, Chris. Okay,
and that's one of the things that Republicans often get in these arguments with people who are you're never going to persuade, and they tend to go down these rabbit holes and just stand there and just continue to lecture people. And it just doesn't work. So I've got you in my top 4 in this race, and I have no idea what's going to happen in this convention on April 25th.
Top 4? I thought I'd be better than that, Chris.
Well, I haven't seen any polling. And here's the problem. Look, I think you're a very qualified candidate. I think you're a very impressive candidate. There's also some qualified, impressive candidates who have their own politicals of influence in the district. You have John McGuire as a delegate, Nick Fraser as a delegate, Tina Ramirez, who is an up-and-comer. And you kind of go, okay, they all have these great qualities. Okay, how's it going to work out in a convention, and who's going to be with whom on the second and third ballot if it happens? Because that's how Rob Whitman got to Congress. He was, I think, 4th on the first ballot. Right. So you might want to be 4th going in,
Yeah, no, I understand. Here's the thing. On the surface, it appears that there isn't much to distinguish us, but I will tell you the same thing that I've been sharing with people throughout the district, and who people and folks are recognizing this, that the thing that distinguishes me is my experience both in the public sector and the private sector, having served on the ground as a special forces officer, but then also serving President Trump as one of his political appointees as a senior executive in the Pentagon. And then that's on the public side, and then on the private side, running my own law firm and helping small businesses create jobs and be successfmean,
this is a pretty impressive lineup here. I'm not taking away anything from Andrew Naggs. We got a SEAL, a Navy SEAL, a Green Beret, and a Special Forces officer. I mean, that's pretty great stuff.
Well, definitely a tough crew.
Green Berets,
I think they know their guns.
Special Forces is Green Berets. I was a Green Beret.
Oh, you were a Green Beret. We have two Green Berets and a SEAL.
That's right.
I dig it.
So anyway, I think those are impressive credentials, and I think no one can take that away from you. Again, getting to a convention, it's political organization, it's reaching people and getting them out to show up at the convention. It's conventions are different. There's an interesting dynamic. I'm going to be there live covering it.
Yep.
In the 7th, and looking forward to it. Andrew Nags, give us the bumper sticker for Andrew Nags' campaign. You've got 30 seconds.
Okay. Well, first of all, come check out my website at andrewnaggs.com, AndrewKnaggs. And I am presenting a full spectrum conservative message that is backed up by real-world credibility, and and real-world experience that is relevant to the job at hand. I understand how D.C. works.
Okay.
I have unquestionable support for the president, and look forward to earning your support.
Okay, Andrew Nags, thanks for joining us on WJFN Radio. We'll be back tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Sax is live at 5. Join us tomorrow. 100.5
FM. Real news, real talk.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters. More than 300 American cruise ship passengers, including 14 who tested positive for coronavirus, are being quarantined at military bases in California and Texas after arriving from Japan on charter flights overnight. Robert Cadlack with the Department of Health and Human Services says 3 passengers with fevers will be monitored.
These individuals will spend the next 14 days under the joint supervision and oversight of CDC and ASPR to monitor their health, and at which point in time, after 14 days, they'll be cleared to return to their home of record.
Japan's defense minister tweeted earlier that Japanese troops helped transport 340 U.S. passengers